Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the S52 E34 series. In this episode, we have a lot to do because we leave for my road trip in less than a week. I've done the initial test driving and sorting of the car, kind of seeing what it needs and this and that. So I've made a list here to help me remember everything that needs to be done because this is crunch time. This is very important. This car has to be solid before we go on this trip. There's a few things it absolutely needs before I'm willing to take it across the country. So on our to-do list here, we have to charge the AC system, make sure it all works because I put a different compressor in, new O-rings, and yeah. So that needs to be done because it's almost August, it's hot everywhere, we're gonna need AC. Then I need to do new tires because I have Nittos in the front, Achilles in the rear, squared tires, but with a 9 and a 9.5 inch wheel, and I'm really not pleased with the ratio difference. The fronts look too big, the rears look too small. I'm not happy about it. Tires and the dial and the fitment, that's gonna be the heart of this. We have a lot of fitment to dial in. I've been having issues with the front being too low, rear being too low, too high. It's been a lot. Then we have to wire in a head unit because I'm gonna want a Bluetooth or a aux head unit, which I'll probably steal out of another car. We need to get an alignment because we're definitely gonna want an alignment for driving across the country. So we're gonna go to Zach's shop for the AC and for the alignment. New fog lights because as I showed you guys when I bought the car, the driver's side fog is all cracked and ugly, so I'm gonna upgrade to a set of projectors. Probably won't wire them in, but just for looks wise, I'm gonna put them in. We need to do an air filter because right now I just have the math and the cone filter, but I want the stock airbox on this car, so I gotta get a filter for it and throw that in. Gotta pack our parts, obviously. Gotta get rid of the trans program air from the manual swap and get cruise control working. Two not so important thing. Well, cruise yes, but trans program is just a light. But I like to get rid of that, so I'll show you guys how we do that. I gotta do one more oil change before we go, just because I had the engine open and I want to change the oil, make sure it's fresh. And that's about it. That's all I can think of. Some things might come up here and there. Hopefully that's not the case, but usually as you drive more things will pop up. But we have this list to conquer. I don't have a lot of time, and some of these things aren't very easily filmable and or I just won't have time to do. So bear with me. I'm gonna try to film everything, but this video might be a little bit scattered because I am beyond stressed. So we're just gonna jump right into the first thing, whatever it is. It might not even be today that I do it, but we'll see. So you guys may notice I did some dialing into the suspension. So this is the first thing we'll talk about in this video. I didn't film any of this because it was hours and hours and hours to fit these, not even an exaggeration. We got the tires changed around. I had to mess with the front ride height for like 3 days, just up, down, less camber, spacer, this and that. Huge pain. Bigger tires in the rear, downsize the front so they match. They're identical tires. This is actually my only car that's on all 4 matching tires. So I think it looks really good. The tires match, the size, the ratio, everything matches. The rear fitment, oh, don't even get me started. Shout out to my buddy Dakota who has the S52 E34. You guys know him. We had to work this rear fitment like you wouldn't believe. I told him, hey, listen, for a road trip, these wheels fit a little bit tight. And he told me, don't even worry about it. We got the fender roller, and as you guys can see, you can't even tell these are touched, but we very carefully and slowly and took our time, and we rolled out these rear arches a little bit to fit these wheels better. So you can see the fitment is insane, but they fit, which is insane. And I kid you not, that took about 10 hours one day working. I got San Diego Ferrari on there to match for the road trip, but yeah. So this wheel fitment was over the course of probably 4 or 5 days and hours and hours and hours. So just know that this was absolute misery. We got the car aligned. The rear specs you can't adjust, as you guys know. So the rear toe was actually within spec, and the rear camber was a little bit out of spec, but it is what it is. Front was all over the place. I'll throw up the spec sheet so you guys see it there. Caster's insane, but you can't really change it. And then as far as camber, which is common with these cars due to the fact that you weld the struts, sometimes they don't weld perfectly even. So I had a lot more camber on the passenger side than the driver's side, right? So I had to basically pull a camber out of the passenger side to match the driver's side, which is maxed. It's like negative 1.5. I wish I could have done a little bit more, but it's just what you gotta do with these E34's. They don't do a lot of camber in the front unless you get the special stuff. So we're at about negative 1.5 front camber. Front toe is you know, just a little bit inward from negative, so, or from zero, so it's a little bit negative, which is what you want for stability and stuff. So we got the fitment, worked pretty good. We got the alignment, worked good. I'm glad I did that. I usually don't care for alignments on these cars, but I wanted one for this car, obviously for the road trip, and I'm glad I did because the front toe was all over the place, as you guys saw from that spec sheet. So I probably would have cooked my tires. So now it's aligned, the suspension is dialed in, so now we can move on to the other things that this car needs. We are going to get cruise control working and the trans program light away. Cruise control, very simple. So you look up here in your wiring, right here, you will see a white connector, and then it'll have a connector that is literally just grounded. This is your clutch sensor wiring right here. So all you gotta do is unplug this and then plug the connector into your clutch pedal sensor, which you should have from the manual swap. If not, you can buy it. Where did I put it? So here's the clutch switch. So literally unplug the grounded connector and plug that into this, and that's all you gotta do for cruise control. All right, so now that we have cruise control working, we have to disable the trans program error light, which comes up when you manual swap an E34 on the cluster. So to do that, what we do here, we get in here to the gear shift area, and you'll find this 12-pin connector. What you need to do is ground out pin 10. It has to be grounded. So in order to do that, what you do is you come over here to the blue thingy, and you get this pin right here. The middle one on the right. You can see the orientation. There's 2 on the left, 3 on the right. You get the middle one on the right. You depin that, put it into the female side pin 10 here. Basically that grounds it out, and then that should disable your trans program error. So I'm going to go through and do that really quick. It's going to be hard for me to set up the camera, so I'm just going to do it and I'll show you once I'm done. Okay, so after you fight these forever, because depinning connectors on these cars absolutely sucks. So I got pin 10 out of the black connector. I got this ground pin out of the blue one. So I'm going to take this ground pin out from the blue one and just stick it into where we pulled the pin 10 out of the black one. So we're just going to pop that in and then reconnect. So you got to bend the tab from this since it's a 90, but you shove it in there, reconnect. Now you'll see when we turn on the car, there you go. No more. Oh.
A few moments later.
So, as an update to the trans program error woes, we have here trans computer uninstalled. Everyone says it's in the engine bay on sedans. It was right here, right rear or right front kick panel, but we still have trans program. No idea why. I've done the fix, I've done the swap on my wagon, and I wired it and it was all good. I'm not sure what about this car is not having it, but it's not having it. So I'll just live with it because I don't have time to deal with this before the trip, because we got 2 days. You'll notice shifters all put together, and if you really know me and my channel and you're familiar with my cars, you'll know that this is the shifter out of the E34, the Calypso, and that's the knob out of the E36, the silver one. I forgot to order all this stuff, so I had to steal it from other cars. I stole the head unit out of this silver E36 because I obviously wanted a USB head unit. So that's squared away. Otherwise in here we're pretty much good. So another thing on our list is AC before we leave for the trip. So we're here refilling with the AC. Hopefully no leaks and stuff. But if it's at the pegs, that tells us it should be good, but we'll see in a second. You'll see we have ditched the front bumper, which can only mean a few things. Well, I don't know what it means, but it means that my AC fan is completely seized. So this should spin freely, as you'll see here. So yesterday we went and charged the AC. I had that little clip of me waiting for it to pressurize the system or vacuum the system. I was all nervous. Forgot to film after that. Everything was all stressful. But now we learned that my fan wasn't working. So these, if they sit for a long time, they'll get all kind of rusty and corroded up in here, and they'll just absolutely seize up. So I had a blown fuse, which would explain why. So this seized up, power had nowhere to go, blew the fuse. So now I gotta pull off this front grille yet again, and then I'll have access to this fan. And then it's a simple 3 8mm nuts and bolts all around it. Unplug the connector and just throw the new one in. Luckily I had one of these, so that's a good thing. Then our AC system should be functioning. So check this out. This is how you're gonna test your fan. You come over here to the temperature sensor that's plugged into the radiator. You unplug it, you get a little jumper wire. So one of these is a ground, one is high speed, one is low. This is how we're going to test both our speeds. With ignition on, I can't show you, but you do 2 ports, and there's your low fan speed. Alright, so low fan speed confirmed, working, relays work. Then you go over here to the other port, high fan speed. So all the fan speeds work on this fan. This is a confirmed good fan. I did this test to this fan, which is the replacement I put in. Luckily I didn't bolt it down, but low speed does not work. So that means that the resistor right here is bad on this fan. So I'm gonna hold on to this fan because the high speed works, but that's a little bit of a test before you waste your time installing, because these really do suck to install. So this will be the fan we put in. This one has a bad low speed, and then that one is seized. So time to button all this stuff up. This has been extremely frustrating. All right, front end is back together. We have working AC, and I swapped the fogs while I was at it. So this front end is all set up. AC was pretty much the most important thing for me on this trip, because as I trip on this fan, I couldn't do a long road trip with no AC. Just so happened that this next couple weeks are going to be like a heat wave through the United States. It's going to be 90s pretty much from here all the way out to up north where I'm going and out west. So I needed AC, and you can't windows down for like 13 hours of driving. You know, an hour maybe one thing, but you can't be windows down the whole time. You'd go deaf. So that's very exciting. Now, next up on our list of things to dial in, last few things, we got these, which is the last thing I need to do before a road trip, but something that I decided I might as well do because it should be rather easy to do. So these are the door handle gaskets for these cars, which if you don't know are infamous for cracking. You can see I'm missing a chunk there. This one's actually missing completely. And when they're missing, the handle shakes around like that. So might as well get this thing looking even better with these. So these are the ones I got from Angry Ass Solutions, which are sourced from an old forum member named Shogun. So shout out to anyone watching this that knows that name. He is an OG in the E34 community. He's part of the Beamer Forums E34 group. Like this, I'm talking, this guy's been around since before I was probably even, you know, able to drive, messing with these cars. So he's out in Japan and sources these. Usually when you get these, they're eBay ones, and they're really crappy, really hard to install because they're not very pliable. And OEM, they only come with the whole handle, and I think it's like 30 plus for one. So this is about $43 shipped, and you get the OEM quality gasket, but you don't have to buy the whole handle, which is nice. So let's go ahead, go around the car, and install these. All right, so what you do to install these is first remove this black cap here. Easy enough. And then if you look in there, there's a little tab that's part of the door handle. And what you have to do is get a 90-degree pick and pull it towards us. So back to the back of the car. What that does is unlocks it and unhinges this, and then it just pulls off. This is super easy to do if you have a proper pick. I have this busted pick, which doesn't work well. If you're wondering what's on my finger, I absolutely sliced my finger open trying to mess with the old aux fan. So that thing did me pretty dirty, but... Oh wait, I'm sorry. You push it, and then you pull it to lock it. So you can see there, I pulled it, and just like that, door handle is off. You can see the chipping gasket it's literally just chipping away. So we're gonna go ahead and discard the old gasket. I'm gonna clean up under here, and then we'll put the new ones on. So now you just lay this in the back of the door handle. There's little things that go into these like parts here. You know what I mean if you're doing this. Kind of snaps on it to hold the shape. So now that's on, looks very nice. Go ahead and pop this in like that. And then grab your pick and you want to pull the lock back. Easy as that. There we go. Door handle gasket replaced. Look how much better that looks. No cracking, nice soft rubber. Super simple. This takes literally like 45 seconds. And that just goes to show you how much better it is to get these ones from Angry Ass, because I've done this with eBay gaskets and they are so thick you can't get the door handle back on. That's what I did on the Calypso, and not even worth your time. You might as well just go with these. It's like 20 extra bucks at the end of the day, and the install is much easier. So now I'm gonna go around the car, same process in all the doors, and then we'll be done. No more rattle. So this is the list I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So we're picking away at it. As you can see, AC is charged, tires are installed, head unit's wired in, alignment's done, fog lights are in. I put in my stock air filter with a new filter. I still have to pack my parts. Trans program, I marked it off because I tried and it's not going to happen. I didn't forget my hub-centric rings. Now we do the oil change, extend my CCV, which is just the crankcase vent, so that's not really important. Rebalance the wheels tomorrow, aux fan's done. So now we're gonna get into this oil change. So obviously it's fresh oil because I just finished the swap, but I put some miles on this thing, you know, test driving it and this and that. And the motor sat open for a while. Not open, I guess, but I was working on the inside, right? So the oil pan that's in there, I had to grind stuff off. Obviously I cleaned it well, but you never know. Had to do the valve cover twice, did a Vanos job, and in between all that, you know, the bottom end sat with just the pan on it, no gasket or anything like that. Working on it, the cottonwood trees were falling. There could be some fuzzes in there, extra RTV, anything. It's always a good idea after you're doing, you know, major work inside of a motor to flush it pretty much. So you start it up, run it for a little bit, and then drain it right away. Check out the filter, see what we're working with. So I'm gonna do that right now. And yeah, also I wanna do this because this will be the oil that is basically goes probably to California. I may change it in Montana, which is like 1,300 miles, but I think that would be a little premature. So I'll probably change it once I get to Cali. But we're doing a major road trip, and this motor's gonna be running long periods of time. So I want fresh oil with little to no contaminants in it. So let's get this thing up in the air and drain it. All right, so now it's time to drain this oil. I've been driving this thing and I don't see any leaks, which is a great thing. The new compressor doesn't leak Freon, which is great. The other one did, which was frustrating as hell. So let's drain this oil and see what it looks like. Hopefully it looks good. It's gonna look pretty new. It's only got like 100 miles on it. Yeah, it looks like brand new. Hey, well, nothing scary. It's falling out of the pan yet. Yeah, I mean, this oil looks fine. We're gonna let this drain out, and then you guys know, like I say with front sump cars, we're gonna go and jack up the rear to get the car level so that any oil that's in the back of the pan will come to the front, and then we'll crack the oil filter housing. Okay, so the new filter's in with all the new O-rings, drain plugs in, we're ready to put oil in it, but let's cut open this filter and see if there's anything scary in it. No, you guys probably can't see on camera, but in person, there's a few little black specks, maybe some RTV, some dirt here and there in each of the elements, but like otherwise, there's really like nothing. So that's good. No metal in here, nothing scary. So the motor's good, the oil was good, but now we got fresh oil, which is even better. So that is very reassuring. Now let's fill this thing up with oil. You guys know the drill. Castrol 1040 high mileage. Way high on the dipstick. What the hell? So this is what happens when you overconfidently fill your oil. So as I said, I was filling the oil on this thing, and S52 6.9, right? M50 is like 6, but I'm running an M50 pan on an S52. So at that point, and I still don't really know the answer to this, but this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's wise to follow the pan or the dipstick mark, because this is an M50, so why would this need more oil in it than the M50? So my guess is that you use, the capacity is mainly based on the pan. My guess is the E34 pan is just smaller. So since this motor is paired with an E34 pan, my guess is that you follow the E34's M50 oil requirements. And if someone has a solid answer to this, please let me know. but I had the dipstick was like half a quart to a quart over. I don't know what. I don't know how that happened this time, but the first time it didn't. Probably because the first time it was a totally dry motor. This time was just a change, so there was still oil in it and stuff. Not sure, but anyway, I'm sitting here hand siphoning this after I got back from my early birthday dinner, because my birthday's in a few days. That's what this car is doing to me, getting ready for this trip. We have a day and a half to get this car roadworthy, so this is pretty much the last thing on the list that needs to be done. Otherwise, I think everything is solid except for rebalancing the wheels, but I've already done that 3 times. That's no big deal, so I'm not gonna film that anything, but I'm gonna sit here and hand pump this, which absolutely sucks, and then recheck the level, and hopefully we're good. So there we have it. I think this E34 is officially ready for the road trip. So I believe I have checked and done the best I can to my ability to look over everything and ensure that it's good. All the systems seem to be functioning. I think she is ready to go. We've reached the end of our list, which is a good thing. So interior is all set up to go. Exterior, fitment, ride height, motor stuff, everything I believe is all set. I am exhausted, to say the least. No joke, this has been probably one of the most stressful week, or I guess 2, even 3 weeks of my life. Building a car is fun and it's one thing. YouTubing that build makes it a lot more involved and time consuming and stressful, but even that is whatever. But when you're doing all of this to make a trip that is across the country, adds this element of just terror, you know, like we've all put together cars, done fixes, and things don't go as planned, and you know, you maybe find that out right away or maybe find it out down the road. Well, we won't have that option. We will be in voyage to basically the other side of the country. So we're going from Chicago to LA, but we'll be stopping in Montana. Obviously there'll be stops along the way, but just in general, you know, this car will be seeing 10 plus hours a day on the road with limited space for parts and tools and stuff like that, which we will get into in the next video where we officially embark on this journey. So there's a big fly around my light, but so in that episode I will show you guys all the tools and parts I'm bringing, and we'll go over all that. But just know that this was extremely stressful on me getting this car ready for this trip. So I've fingers crossed at this point. You guys will be there with me to see it. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that like the timelines are kind of all off. I'm a lot further in the car than these videos have been, you know, coming out. So when this video is out, I'll probably be well into my trip, maybe a week, even 2. So I'm sorry about that, but I've been so busy making sure this car is ready that I've had to just put YouTube on the back burner. So that's why this episode was a lot of jumping around, because a lot of the stuff I didn't film. If I was to film everything that I did in this video, this would have been a 3, 4 hour, 5 hour video, because just working the rear quarters for this fitment alone took about 10 hours, I'd say, with 2 guys. The fitment all around, on and off, wheels on and off, I mean a lot. So anyways, I don't want to ramble. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this series. I hope it was all worth it, because this has been rough on me. So soon we will be on a road trip with this thing, and I cannot wait, and I'm so excited to bring you guys along. And hopefully soon after the road trip I will get some merch out for this car. We'll have a little road trip merch, so I'm planning on having this on a t-shirt with like some cool scenes behind it, scenery and stuff, so hopefully that goes to plan. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.